Hi folks, I hope that you guys are doing pretty well. So today is Tuesday, the 19th of December 2023. Then this video is going to be my 33rd World First Biblical Deciphering. And in today's video, I want to decipher for you in the book of Isaiah, chapter 34, verses 1 to 4. Okay, so if you go to Isaiah, okay, and you go to chapter 34, verses 1 to 4, okay, now the rest of the verses are for another different time period. Okay, now just to recap, if you like, as an intro, then these 4 verses can only come to pass at the end of the Millennium Kingdom, and I will prove it to you in a moment. Okay, and actually these 4 verses are actually married to Revelation 20 verses 7 to 9. Okay, now let us study this then very carefully. Okay, it says here, "Come near, you nations, to hear, and hearken, you people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, all things that come forth of it." Now, this is very key from here onwards, folks. Look what it says here. "For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations." Indignation, of course, means that God is very upset, but it's saying that the indignation of God is upon all nations. This is a very key word, all. It's not saying a few nations or some nations, but it's saying all nations. Okay? And then it says here, and it reads, "And his fury upon all the armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter." Okay, so what does this verse 2 basically means? And when can this verse 2 come to pass as a prophecy? The fact that all nations will receive the fury of God and he's going to utterly destroy them all, or slaughter them, if you like it says here, this can only happen at the end of the Millennial Kingdom, when Satan is let loose for a little season. He's going to deceive all the nations, and all the nations are going to come to Jerusalem, okay, to attack the camp of the saints, and God is going to rain fire from heaven and wipe them all out. So that's what this second verse is all about, okay? And I'll prove it to you in a moment with Revelation 20, verses 7 and 9. As a matter of fact, chapter 34, verses 1 to 4 is actually married to Revelation 20, verses 7 to 9, okay? And on verse 3 it says, "Their slain also shall be cast out, and the stink shall come out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood." Okay, so all those people that, or all those armies that will march into Jerusalem, okay, they're gonna come up against us, at the camp of the saints. God is gonna rain fire from heaven, destroy them all. Okay, and then it says here, "And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved." Okay, so this is talking about when God has a final judgment. Okay, I'm talking about the great white throne of judgment, how God is going to, dissolve the old heaven and this earth, if you like, and he's going to make a new heaven and a new earth, okay? And it says here, "And the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all the hosts shall fall down, as a leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree." Okay, so it stops right there now. So just to summarize, folks, and I'll show you Revelation 20 in one moment. Yeah, so basically, like I just told you, when all the armies of the world march towards Jerusalem at the end of the Millennial Kingdom, then God is going to rain fire from heaven and wipe them all out. And after God's great white throne of judgment, he's going to make a new heaven and a new earth. And the old heaven and this earth that we are living in right now is going to roll up like a scroll, or dissolve, if you like. So if you go to the book of Revelation, go to chapter 20, verses 7 to 9, okay? "And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out and deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, meaning the leader of Russia, okay, and also Russia as well, are coming together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city which is Jerusalem, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. Okay, so that's what basically Isaiah chapter 34 is about, folks. Okay, now I just want to talk a little bit about the rapture of the church. Okay, let's go back to Isaiah, folks. So if we go to Isaiah, okay, and we go to chapter 26, it does talk here on verses 19 to 21 about the rapture of the church, okay? So go to Isaiah chapter 26 and head over to verses 19 to 21. Now, this is not a biblical deciphering because most people, most Christians know about this, okay? It talks about the rapture, but I'm going to be talking about the rapture in a moment. And it says here in verse 19, the dead man shall live, together with my dead body shall they arise. Awake and sing, you that dwell in the dust. Okay, so we know that, that the dead in Christ will come out first, and then we who are alive shall meet together in the air together with Jesus and go into heaven, okay? For the dew is as the dew of earth, and the earth shall cast out the dead, okay? So we know that the dead in Christ will come out first to get the glorified bodies, and then we are going to be raptured, within the twinkling of an eye afterwards, and all of us are going to get, our glorified bodies and enter into heaven, okay? Can my people enter thou into thy chamber, and shut thy doors about thee? Hide thyself as it were for a little moment, okay? So we're going to be hiding for 7 years during the trip, but then we're going to be coming out until the indignation be overpassed. In other words, God's wrath during the tribulation period, okay? Just paraphrasing here, folks, just to keep this video a little bit short and not too long. For behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Now, talking about the rapture, then let's just quickly go to Thessalonians. I just want to show you some verses. Bear with me for a sec. Actually, let's go to Corinthians first. Okay, before we go to Thessalonians, go to the first book of Corinthians. Okay, chapter 15. And let's head here to verse 52, where it says, how the rapture is going to happen in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Okay, so the fact that it's saying here, at the last trump, in heaven, God does celebrate his seventh feast. And so, when God actually celebrates, the Feast of Trumpets, I believe that that's when the last trump is blown. I believe that that's when we're going to have the rapture of the church. I would say that's highly likely, because he's talking about here at the last trump. So, but anyway, it doesn't necessarily have to happen during Yom Teruah. I'm of the opinion that when the rapture does happen after the third temple, in my view, then that will be the fulfillment of the rapture of the church itself. Now, one of the things that most Bible scholars get confused is, how it says here, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. Okay, so what he's saying here is that when the rapture does happen, it's going to happen in the moment, in the twinkling of an eye. So it's going to happen extremely quick. Okay, but then many Bible scholars confuse the fact that the rapture of the church is going to happen in the twinkling of an eye. They say that because of this, that it can happen at any moment and any time. No, that's not so. What Paul is trying to tell us here is that yes, in fact, when the rapture happens, it's going to happen in the twinkling of an eye. But It's not telling us when the rapture is going to happen. All it's saying, hey, it's when it happens, it's going to happen so fast that it's going to be in the twinkling of an eye. But when, it doesn't say. If you read, all the epistles of Paul, okay, we have two major clues that Paul gives us. For example, like if you go to Thessalonians, okay, especially 2 Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3, okay? So here's one of the clues, okay, as to when we're going to have the rapture, okay? So if you go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3 says, if I can just get this cell phone to focus here, otherwise I'll just read it for you. Here we go. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come. Notice how this is a very key word here, not, okay? So that day, it means, of course, the day of the rapture, okay? Shall not come, or it's not going to happen, except they come a falling away first, okay? In other words, apostasy, which you already have, and that the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So we cannot have the rapture until we have two things. One, the apostasy, which we already have, but we are waiting for the man of sin to be revealed. In other words, the Antichrist. So it says here revealed. That is a very key word. So no rapture until that man of sin be revealed. I mean, why would Paul waste his words, okay, in giving us his prophecy? Because this is a prophecy about the rapture. He's quite clearly saying, hey, the apostasy first, and that the man of sin be revealed. I mean, this is just so straightforward, okay? So look, no rapture, okay? Let no one deceive you or lie to you by any means, that day, in other words, the day of the rapture, shall not come. So simple. Why do people get this wrong? So no rapture shall not come. Simple. No rapture except the falling away, in other words, apostasy, and that the man of sin be revealed. Okay, very simple. So of course, if you go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3, then we got another clue here. Okay, as to when the rapture is going to happen. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with a child, and they shall not escape. So this is also a prophecy, folks. Paul the apostle wasn't just, an apostle. He was also a prophet, because Paul gave us a mystery of the rapture. Okay, and he's, prophesying here quite clearly. For when they shall say peace and safety, how can the rapture of the church be at any moment or at any time? Like the great majority of Bible scholars say, they say that it's imminent and that nothing is needed to happen. Well, I'm sorry, that's wrong. That's unbiblical, because the Bible clearly tells me here, for when they shall say peace and safety, are you hearing peace and safety now? I'm not, and neither are you. All you're hearing right now is wars and rumors of wars, okay? Peace and safety, then sudden destruction. That means a rapture. So folks, don't allow anybody to lie to you or confuse you. When they say to you on the videos, especially YouTubers out there, saying that the rapture can happen at any time, it is imminent. No, it's not imminent. Imminent means that it can happen right now. But Paul is telling us here by Bible prophecy. This is not, me lying to you here. I'm just quoting the Bible. Paul quickly says, peace and safety. Peace and safety, then rapture. So folks, don't let anyone deceive you out there, because there are many Bible scholars who are saying the rapture of the church is imminent. It can happen at any time, at any moment. No, that's not true. We need to hear peace and safety, okay? We need to hear peace and safety. And also, we need the man of sin to come out. Okay, quite clearly says here, no rapture except the apostasy and that the Antichrist be revealed. So what's going to happen, folks, after the third temple is that two things are going to happen simultaneously. once the third temple is done, perhaps the rapture will happen during the day of its inauguration. It doesn't have to be, perhaps it can happen afterwards, but you will have to think by common sense that once the third temple is done, that the Antichrist will have to come out to commemorate that very important prophetic building, the third temple, together with the Jewish authorities and the Jewish rabbis. Okay, it doesn't have to, the Antichrist can come sometime later, but he has to confirm the covenant as per Daniel 9:27. Okay, Daniel 9:27 says, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. Okay, so, how can anybody say, if they know their Bibles, that the rapture of the church is imminent if we're not hearing peace and safety? The Antichrist hasn't been revealed yet, okay? And the Antichrist hasn't confirmed the covenant as per Daniel 9:27. So, do you see, folks, how unbiblical it is for anyone to say that it's imminent or that it can happen at any moment, when quite clearly we need to have, they need to talk about peace and safety? So folks, just don't believe anyone that says that it can happen at any moment, at any time, because that is complete and utter ignorance. And these people, because they don't understand the Bible, they are just confusing you, People need to have an argument when they talk about the rapture based on what the Bible teaches. I'm not here to give you my opinion about the rapture. I'm just here to confirm with you what the Bible teaches. The Bible clearly says we need to hear peace and safety. Quite clearly we need to, of course, we already got the apostasy, but we need the Antichrist to come out and be revealed, okay? And we need the covenant as per Daniel 9:27. And these are just three things that we need three things that we need in the end times, but we actually have more. We got the end time Bible prophecies of, Isaiah 17.1. We got, the prophecy of Elam in Jeremiah 49, verses 34 to 39. We got the third temple Bible prophecies. Let me take you to Isaiah, folks, okay? Here Isaiah was talking about the third temple. So we go to Isaiah chapter 2, okay? Look what it says here. And it shall come to pass in the last days. The last days is the church age in which we are in right now, that the mountain of the Lord's house, in other words, the third temple, shall be established in the top of the mountains, meaning on top of Temple Mount, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. Exalted means that the Alaska and the Dome of the Rock will have to come down, because that third temple needs to be exalted, and God cannot have any competition up there on top of Temple Mount, because the third temple must be exalted or must be showing off. When can the third temple be rebuilt? I've done many videos already, telling you how the prophetic process is going to happen. Israel cannot rebuild the temple right now if they wanted to. Why is that? Because they are in war. And they have to sign, a covenant, with the Antichrist, okay, so that they can get Temple Mount, okay, if you like, to rebuild the third temple on top of Temple Mount. So these are early days yet. Israel will rebuild the third temple at the end of the Ezequiel War, when God glorifies and magnifies himself. Then the Antichrist is going to come on board. He's going to get many nations to sign a peace agreement with Israel. Israel will get Temple Mount, and Israel will have to give up, Judea and Samaria, to the Palestinians, of course, in order to get Temple Mount to rebuild the third temple, okay? And these peace treaties, you will have to think, obviously, that the Palestinians are going to be involved. Saudi Arabia will help Israel to broker this, because Saudi Arabia holds, a lot of influence in power in terms of being the most important Islamic nation in the world, because, of Mecca and Medina, okay? And of course, we will have to put into the equation, Jordan as a custodians of Temple Mount, and perhaps all these nations that have signed Abraham Accords with still will form the covenant with many, okay? So, don't forget, folks, that Let's go to Daniel, that the Antichrist has to confirm the covenant. It's for Daniel 9:27. Okay, so here we go. So if you go to Daniel chapter 9, okay, this is the Antichrist, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determinant shall be poured upon the desolate. So, right now in the geopolitical, folks, are you hearing peace and safety? Are you hearing that the Antichrist is going to confirm the covenant very soon? We're not hearing any of this in the news. He has to confirm the covenant. It's a prophecy, folks, in Daniel. So, how can anybody in the right mind say that the rapture of the church is imminent and that it can happen at any time? That is utter and complete ignorance. I mean, these people that are saying this, they don't understand the Bible. They don't read the Bible. They don't read prophecies. They cannot even discern even the most simplistic end-time prophecies, even the covenant of Daniel 9:27. All they do is they fire a quick shot, by saying, hey, the rapture is going to happen anytime. It is imminent. No, it's not. It's not going to happen at any time. It's going to happen at its correct prophetic timing, because if the rapture of the church happens right now, it will cause Israel complete and utter prophetic chaos. Israel cannot be at war when the two witnesses, Moses and Elijah, woke up in Israel, because the two witnesses have to be in peace in order to prophesy in Israel for the 1,260 days of the prophecy. Okay, so how can anybody say that it's imminent to happen at a moment when we're not hearing peace and safety? The Antichrist hasn't confirmed the covenant as per Daniel 9:27. We haven't had the third temple rebuilt just yet. So it is ridiculous, folks. How people are saying this. Don't believe them, folks. You're just wasting your time. Just read your Bibles and study your Bibles. But let's just quickly go to Revelation 11. I want to show you something relating to the gap theory. Okay. Now, there is no gap theory because for two reasons. Number one, it says here, and I will keep power unto my two witnesses. We know that is Moses and Elijah. Already done many videos on this. Okay. And they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. Okay, so we know that they're going to be prophesying for 1,260 days. So the fact that Moses and Elijah are going to be prophesying for 1,260 days, that is a very precise and definite time period during the tribulation, So it's describing here exactly how long Moses and Elijah will be here on earth to prophesy, 1,260 days, so 3.5 years. And the reason that there is no such thing as a gap theory is because not only because I need to prophesy for exactly that amount of time, is because when the third temple, I want you to listen to this, especially to the gappers, when the third temple is fully rebuilt, right, and is ready for Moses for the prophesying of 1,260 days, Moses and Elijah already have the temple, okay? So there is no need to have a gap, okay? Because the third temple is already there. And the third temple, I just show you, almost on top of the video, that has been prophesied by Isaiah and Micah to be fully rebuilt and established at the end of the church age. In other words, where we are right now. And because that temple is going to be rebuilt and established before the rapture of the church, then there is no need for a gap. As soon as Moses and Elijah come on board, they already got the third temple, no gap is needed, and they're going to be prophesying for the 1,260 days of prophecy. So folks, please, even those that are in the ignorance are saying that the rapture of the church is imminent and that it can happen at any moment, those people need to study the end-time Bible prophecies correctly. I've done many videos. And do not believe, folks, the lies that these people are telling you that the rapture of the church is imminent, because we need a lot of things, folks. We need the prophecy of Isaiah 17.1. Now, the prophecy of Isaiah 17.1 will come to pass during the church age, okay? You know why? Because here we got Israel, and up here we got Lebanon and Syria, okay? The fact that Lebanon and Syria are not part of the Ezequiel coalition, okay? In other words, they're not coming to the northern mountains of Israel for the Ezequiel War. The fact that Lebanon and Syria are not part of it, okay? That's interesting, isn't it? Of course it is, because Israel will have annihilated Lebanon. It will have sent Lebanon into the Stone Age, because Hezbollah is here, okay? On the northern border of Israel or in the southern border of Lebanon, and because the prophecy of Isaiah 17.1 will have been fulfilled. In other words, Damascus is going to be a heap of ruins, including other cities. That's why Lebanon and Syria are not part of the Ezequiel War. So we will see Isaiah 17.1. We will see the prophecy of Elam, found in Jeremiah 49 verses 34 to 39. Those two will then trigger the Ezequiel War as a provocation, and also because of, Iran and Russia wanting revenge because they have, alliances, if you like, with Lebanon and Syria, okay, especially Iran, that have proxies, as in Hezbollah, right here in southern Lebanon, okay? So Iran's gonna want revenge, and they're gonna get the Russians to help them because they already got a big partnership with Russia, okay? So we're gonna see Isaiah 17.1 and the Elam Bible prophecy fulfill. That will trigger the Ezequiel War. And don't forget that also Israel has to annihilate Iran's nuclear facilities, okay? Because Iran right now is something like 84% of uranium enrichment, and because Israel will fulfill the Elam Bible prophecy by nuking Iran's nuclear facilities, okay? When Israel does Lebanon, sends them into the Stone Age, practically when Israel sends Syria into the Stone Age, and when they practically send Elam into the Stone Age, then we're gonna see, as revenge, of course, and also, because Russia has a partnership, with Iran, they're gonna come down for the Ezequiel War, okay? Turkey is also part of it, and then God is gonna defeat this coalition, and then Israel is gonna be rebuilding, the third temple, okay? But after the Ezequiel War, they're gonna be signing, the peace agreement, so Israel can get Temple Mount. Once the third temple is finished, sometime after that, we are no longer needed. The only reason why the church is here is because God needs to keep us here so that third temple is ready for Moses and Elijah. But after the third temple, once that it's inaugurated, perhaps we'll have the rapture of the church after that, because the Antichrist will come out together with the Jewish authorities and the rabbis, to inaugurate the third temple and then bring rapture. Or if not, sometime after, the Antichrist will come out to confirm the covenant, as per Daniel 9:27, and this will trigger then two prophecies simultaneously. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 3, that the man of sin comes out, and simultaneously and precisely at the same time it will trigger 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 3, that when he talks about peace and safety, then bang, sudden destruction. Actually, the covenant, as per Daniel 9:27, okay, that covenant is actually married to Paul's 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 3, because he's going to be talking about peace and safety. In other words, the covenant. So those two are married together, then bang, rupture of the church. So be very careful, folks, who you listen to out there on YouTube regarding end-time Bible prophecies, because many people are completely ignorant. And the rapture of the church is not imminent, no, and it cannot happen at any moment, because if it happens at any moment, this will cause Israel prophetic chaos. Plus for the fact that we cannot be heretics, folks, because we have end-time Bible prophecies that quite clearly we need to see them come to pass. Okay, let me show you again, Isaiah. Okay, let me give you an example, folks. The third temple, will be rebuilt at the end of the Ezequiel War. Now, how can we just say that the rapture of the church is imminent and completely disregard and miss end-time Bible prophecies? Folks, this is bordering on, heresy. I'm sorry to say this, because what we are saying, okay, this is what we are saying. You know what, God? Who cares? Who cares about what Isaiah said? Who cares? we are going to put all these prophecies into the bin. Who cares what you're saying here, right? And it's heresy by those that are saying that the rapture of the church is imminent. Who cares? And these people that are saying the rapture of the church is imminent, they are completely ignoring end-time Bible prophecies. What they're saying to God is, I don't really care that you send the prophets like Isaiah and Micah prophesied this too, in almost similar wording. I'll show you in a minute. And, they're saying, who cares about your end-time Bible prophecies? We don't care, we say rapture. That is just complete ignorance, folks. It quite clearly says here in the last days. Where are we right now? In the last days of the church age. So, folks, we gotta, if we are going to study the Bible, then we gotta believe everything that the Bible gives us. We can't just dismiss Bible prophecies and say to God, especially to our Lord and Savior, He saved us, right? He's given us the Holy Spirit. And, you guys are out there, being a bunch of heretics, basically, towards Jesus. So see, if you go to Micah, something is chapter 4, verses 1 and 2. Some is Isaiah chapter 2. But in the last days, where we are right now, it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord, in other words, when it says house, meaning the third temple, will be established or rebuilt in the top of the mountain, meaning on top of Temple Mount, and it shall be exalted above the hills. Pretty much the same wording as in Isaiah. How can we dismiss Bible prophecy? They are here for a reason to be fulfilled. This is a Bible prophecy that needs to come to pass before the rapture. See? It's going to come to pass in the last days. It needs to come to pass. So how can we just dismiss and say the rapture of the church is imminent or that it can happen at any moment? Can you finally, folks, understand the ignorance, the sheer and utter ignorance and even heresy of these people that are completely ignorant about the end times? They don't even have any intelligence or discernment, okay? Or even the knowledge to read the Bibles, because if they read the Bibles, they wouldn't be saying those ignorant comments, that the rapture of the church is imminent and that it can happen at any moment. If the rapture happens now, what on earth, let me ask you, how can this Bible prophecy come to pass? If we had the rapture of the church, like you guys say, imminent at any time, at any moment, how can this Bible prophecy come to pass? When it says here that it shall come to pass during the church age, how? I know, the gappers, I heard you. Listen, gappers. Once this prophecy of the third temple comes to pass, and the third temple is built at the end of the church age, I told you that there's no need for a gap, because when Moses and Elijah come for the 1,260 days of prophecy, there is no need for a gap, because they already got the third temple, which was built at the end of the church age or in the last days. And therefore Moses and Elijah can be at peace to prophesy for the 1,260 days according to Revelation 11. So please, folks, just give this video a like, pass it on, share it, recommend it to other people, because we as a church need to get out of this ignorance that the rapture of the church can happen at any moment or at any time. And I'm on record with more than 100 videos on my YouTube channel telling you the whole trajectory of the end time Bible prophecies, like I just told you. And no, we are not going to have any rapture of the church until quite clearly the third temple is rebuilt at the end of the church age, and this prophecy comes to pass. No rapture until that temple, the house of the Lord, is rebuilt and this prophecy comes to pass. No rapture until the third temple. It says quite clearly. And the third temple will be the last of the end time Bible prophecies to be fulfilled before the rapture, because Israel cannot rebuild the third temple right now because they are at war. They can only rebuild this third temple once they are at peace at the end of the Ezequiel War, when they sign the peace treaties with all the nations that I just told you, and they get the permission from the Messiah to rebuild the third temple. Once that's done, they will rebuild the third temple, and sometime after that, bang, rapture of the church. Okay? So please, folks, you need to get out of that ignorance that is imminent and that it can happen at any moment, because what you're saying is completely unbiblical. This is a prophecy that needs to come to pass. How can you say that the rapture is imminent? Quite clearly says, But in the last days, what part of the, look, without insulting you, what part of the English language is it that you don't understand when it says here, but in the last days? Where are we now? In the last days. It shall come to pass, meaning this prophecy will come to pass, that Israel will rebuild the third temple on top of Temple Mount. So simple. We need to see the fulfillment of all these end-time Bible prophecies, and the rapture of the church is not imminent. There is complete and utter ignorance. Bible scholars are getting confused that when the rapture of the church happens, it will happen in the twinkling of an eye. It will be quick, but that doesn't mean that it can happen at any moment or at any time, because that is completely unbiblical, because we have all these end-time Bible prophecies that are needed to come before the rapture of the church. All right, folks, I hope that this video has been a blessing. If you guys can do me a favor just to share this around, because it's very important, folks, that the church understands the end-time Bible prophecies and that we don't fall into ignorance. Okay, we cannot afford to fall into ignorance right now when we haven't got long now for the rapture of the church. All right, folks, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.